Hello students, Jinali Shah welcomes you on behalf of Saraswat International Academy. Today we will begin with the next chapter, that is Plant Kingdom. So, first of all, the introductory part of this chapter. In the last chapter we have already studied regarding the 5 kingdom classification of living organisms which was given by R.H. Whittaker in 1969. According to R.H. Whittaker, living organisms are classified into 5 kingdoms. Those 5 kingdoms are Monera, which is a group of the unicellular prokaryotic organism, Protista, which is a group of the unicellular eukaryotic organisms, then is the kingdom Fungi, Plantae and Animalia. All these 3 kingdoms, they are the group of the multicellular eukaryotic organisms. Again, these are the 5 kingdoms given by Whittaker. Monera, prokaryotic organisms, basically they absorb the food or they photosynthesize the food. They may be motile or non-motile and mainly they undergo the asexual mode of reproduction. Then Protista, which is a group of the eukaryotic unicellular organisms, they either absorb the food or ingest the food or photosynthesize, and their mode of reproduction is sexual as well as asexual mode. Then is the fungi, which is a group of eukaryotic multicellular organisms. Basically, they absorb the food material, they are non-motile and they mainly undergoes the sexual mode of reproduction. They also undergoes the asexual mode of reproduction. Then is plants, which is a group of the eukaryotic multicellular organisms. Mainly they photosynthesize the food materials and prepare it. They are non-motile and mainly they undergoes the sexual mode of reproduction. Then is the Animalia, which includes the group of the eukaryotic multicellular organisms. They ingest the food, they are motile and they undergo the sexual mode of reproduction. Now today in this particular chapter, basically we will be dealing with the further classification of the plant kingdom. So which are the systems used for the biological classification? So there are 3 systems of biological classification. One is the artificial system, second one is the natural system and the third one is the phylogenetic system. So basically the biological classification follows 3 ways. One is the artificial system of classification, next is the natural system of classification and next is the phylogenetic system of the classification. We will study each of one in detail. So first of all, the artificial system of classification. Now this is the most earliest system of classification. Now this method of classification mainly is based on the vegetative characters, or you can say the superficial morphological characters of the plants. So basically here the plants are classified on the basis of vegetative characters. When we say vegetative characters, mainly 3 organs are considered: stem, root and leaves, and other superficial morphological characters, such as what can be considered to classify the plants. The habit of the plant may be considered, the color of the plant can be considered, number and shape of the leaves can be considered. So these are the other morphological characters used apart from the vegetative characters to classify the plants according to the artificial system of classification. Linus, he classified the plants on the basis of the structure of the androecium. So Linus' system of classification was based on the androecium structure. Now there are certain limitations, or you can say drawbacks of the artificial system. So what are the limitations of the artificial system? Now basically, as here only superficial morphology is considered, or you can say as only few characters, as the artificial system of classification is based only on few characters, what happens? Those organisms, those species which are closely related, they are separated, they are placed in the separate groups because only few characters of the organisms are studied. So they separated the closely related species since it was based on the few characters. In the artificial system of classification, few characters are only considered, and as only few characters are only considered, those organisms which were very closely related to each other, they were separated from each other. The artificial system gives equal weightage to the vegetative and the sexual characteristics. So basically equal weightage is given to the vegetative character as well as to the sexual characters. When we consider sexual characters, basically we consider flowers, fruits, seeds, etc. Now this is not acceptable since we know that the vegetative characters are easily affected by the environment. Now this system of classification gives equal weightage to the vegetative characters of the plant as well as to the sexual characteristics of the plants. And as we know that vegetative characters are affected by environment, leaf, stem, roots, they are easily affected by the environment, and hence this system has the limitation. So basically there are two limitations of the artificial system of classification. One limitation is closely related species got separated since few characters are only studied, and this system gives equal weightage to the vegetative as well as to the sexual characters, and this is not acceptable since the vegetative characters are easily destroyed by the environment. Now next system of classification is the natural system of classification. Now this system is based on the natural affinities amongst the organisms. Now what do you mean by this? So basically it represents the natural similarities and dissimilarities of the plants, which means it represents the interrelationships amongst the plant. Now this system is based on the natural affinities among the organisms, how the different organisms are related amongst themselves. So basically it represents the natural similarities and dissimilarities of the plants, which means it represents the interrelationships amongst the plant. Now this system also considers the external features, but along with the morphology, along with the external features, it also considers the internal features. So this is advantage of the natural system over the artificial system. Artificial system considers only the morphological characters, but the natural system considers the external features as well as internal features also. Various internal features are ultrastructure, the anatomy, the embryology and the phytochemistry. Ultrastructure, which means the detailed structure. Anatomy is the study of the tissue, study of the internal organs. Embryology, that is the development of the embryo. And phytochemistry, that is the chemicals which are present in the plants, are also studied. So not only the morphology is considered, but the internal characteristics of the plants are also considered when we talk about the natural system of classification. Now example of this system of classification. So two scientists, George Bentham and Joseph Dalton Hooker, they classified the flowering plants. So classification of the flowering plant given by Bentham and Hooker is basically the natural system of classification. Now the third system of classification is the phylogenetic system of classification. So basically this system is based on the evolutionary relationships between the organisms. How the one organism have evolved from the other. So basically this system, apart from considering the morphology, apart from considering the anatomy, this system also considers the evolutionary history of the organisms. So in the phylogenetic system of classification, the organisms are classified on the basis of the evolutionary relationships. This system assumes that organisms belonging to the same taxa have a common ancestor. So basically in the first chapter we have studied regarding the taxon. So those organisms which belong to the same taxon will have the common ancestor. This system of classification is also called as the cladistic classification. This system of classification, it is also called as the cladistic classification. So these are the three systems of the classification. Artificial system, which considers only the morphological characters, the natural system, which considers morphological as well as the internal characteristics, and phylogenetic, which considers the evolutionary history of the organisms apart from their morphology and anatomy. Now, there are several developments in the field of the taxonomy. So new developments in the field of the taxonomy. So basically it is nothing but they are the other sources which solves the difficulty in the classification. So there are certain difficulties in the existing classification system. So that difficulties could be solved by the new developments which have taken place in the field of taxonomy. That developments are numerical taxonomy, cytotaxonomy and the chemotaxonomy. So first of all, the numerical taxonomy. So now what is numerical taxonomy? So basically here the plants are classified on the basis of numbers of similarities and dissimilarities. So here plants are classified on the basis of numbers. So this word is very important. So number plays the important role. How many characteristics are similar? How many characteristics are dissimilar? And basically it is based on the observable characters. Those characters which could be easily seen. So that characters are only considered. Now how the numerical taxonomy is carried out or how it is done? So it is carried out using the computers. So numbers and codes are assigned to all the characters. So whatever characters are under the study, they are given particular number and code. Now this number and codes are given according to the computer, and after giving the number and codes, the data will be processed. Now those organisms which have maximum similarities, so organisms which have the maximum number of similarities, they will be placed in the same group. So how numerical taxonomy is carried out? So first of all, here the organisms, basically we are considering the plants. So plants are classified on the basis of numbers of similarities and dissimilarities, and it is mainly based on the observable characters. Now numbers and codes are given to the characters, and after that the data will be prepared. Now those organisms which have the maximum similarities, they will be placed in the same group. In this way, each character is given the equal importance, and at the same time hundreds of characters can be considered. So this is the most important advantage of the numerical taxonomy, that each character is given equal importance. It is not that here only morphological character or only vegetative character or only the sexual character is given importance. No. Each and every character is given equal importance, and at the same time we can study hundreds of characters together. So that is regarding the numerical taxonomy. So basically this is one of the charts shown to study the numerical taxonomy. So see, basically say for example 10 characters are studied, and these are the taxa, for example taxa A, taxa B, taxa C, taxa D, etc. And here you can see that numbers have been assigned to each and every character. Now next method or next development in the field of taxonomy is the cytotaxonomy. You know the cytotaxonomy, cyto, so basically related to the cell. So basically that method of classification which uses the cytological characters, it is called as the cytotaxonomy. So the use of the cytological characters of the plants In the classification or in solving the taxonomic problems, it is called as the cytotaxonomy. So the use of the cytological characters, cyto, that is related to the cell. So basically the cellular characteristics, and mainly it considers the chromosomes. So use of the cytological characters to classify the organisms, to classify the plants, that is called as the cytotaxonomy. So basically it is based on the cytological characters or cytological information like chromosome number, their structure, their behavior. So we can say that this system of classification is mainly based on the detailed study of the chromosomes. So classification of the plants on the basis of the cytological character and mainly the chromosomes, that is called as the cytotaxonomy. The next one is the chemotaxonomy, or also called as the chemical taxonomy. Chemo, chemical. So use of the chemical characteristics in the classification of the plants, that is called as the chemotaxonomy. So use of the chemical characters of the plants in classification or in solving the taxonomic problems, that is called as the chemotaxonomy or chemical taxonomy. So basically it is based on the chemical constitution of the plant. So which type of chemicals are present in the plants? What chemicals are present in the plants? That study includes the part of the chemotaxonomy. So the use of the chemical present in the plants to classify the plants is called as the chemotaxonomy. Now which basic chemicals are present in the plants? So those chemicals which are used in the chemotaxonomy are alkaloids, carotenoids, tannins, polysaccharides, nucleic acids, fatty acids, amino acids, aromatic compounds, etc. So whatever chemicals are present in the plants, all those chemicals will be studied, and these chemicals forms the basis of the classification. Then that method is called as the chemotaxonomy. So these are the various systems of the classification. Now we will begin with the main part of our chapter, that is the classification of the plants. In the previous part we have studied that which are the various systems of classification. Now how the plants are classified. So there are various ways of classification of the plants. One by one we will see them. So now suppose a plant is there. Now how they will be classified? Whether they have the differentiated body or whether they have the undifferentiated body. So plants, if they have the undifferentiated body, or if the body is not differentiated, that is called as the thallophyta. We will see it later on. And if the body of the plant is differentiated, now how it is further classified? Now whether that differentiated body is without the vascular tissue or it is with the vascular tissues. We know vascular tissues are the conducting tissues. So whether the conducting tissues, that is xylem or phloem, are present or xylem or phloem are absent. If the xylem and phloem are absent, then it is called as the bryophyta. If xylem and phloem are absent, or if the differentiated plant body does not have the specialized vascular tissues, then it is called as that group of the plant is the bryophyta. Now suppose they have the specialized vascular tissue, that is proper xylem and phloem are present, then that group is called as the tracheophyta. What is it called as? Tracheophyta. Now these tracheophyta are further divided. Now whether they produce seeds or not. So if they do not produce the seeds, it is called as the pteridophyta. And if they produce the seeds, what are they called as? They are called as the phanerogames. Now which type, if seeds are produced, which type of seeds are produced? Suppose they have the naked seeds or whether the seeds are present inside the fruits. So if the seeds are naked, that is they are uncovered, they are not within the fruits, then they are called as gymnosperms, and if the seeds occur inside the fruit, they are called as the angiosperms. Now, if the seeds are present inside the fruits, how are they further classified? Whether they have two cotyledons or whether they have one cotyledon. If they have two cotyledons, they are dicot, and if they have one cotyledon, they are called as the monocot. Same thing is again shown here, that algae is there. The most lower group within the plant is algae, which are we will study in detail. These are the three groups of the algae. Green algae, that is chlorophyta, brown algae, phaeophyta, red algae, rhodophyta. Then is the bryophyta, then is the tracheophyta, which are the vascular plants, plants with the conducting tissues. It is further divided into two subphylums, pteridophyta and spermopsida. Spermopsida are the seed plants. Now these seed plants are further divided into two. One is the gymnosperms, which are the plants having the naked seeds, and angiosperms, which have the enclosed seeds. And angiosperms are further divided into the monocots and dicots. This is the Eichler's system of classification. Eichler, he classified the plant kingdom into two subkingdoms, cryptogames and phanerogames. The cryptogames are without the fruits and seeds, and phanerogames are with the fruits as well as with the seeds. Now, this cryptogame is further divided into three divisions, Thallophyta, Bryophyta and Pteridophyta. Now, these Bryophyta are divided into Schizophyta, which is a group of bacteria, algae, fungi and the lichens. Whereas the phanerogames are divided into two divisions, gymnosperms and angiosperms. Angiosperms are further divided into two classes, one is dicot and another one is the monocot. So basically, plant kingdom, non-flowering plants are cryptogame, flowering plants are called as the phanerogames. Cryptogames, as I told you earlier, divided into three, Thallophyta, Bryophyta and Pteridophyta. Thallophyta divided into algae, fungi, bacteria, and the combination of both of these, algae and fungi, is called as the lichens. What is it called as? It is called as the lichen. And flowering plants are further divided into gymnosperms, which are the plants with the naked seeds, and angiosperms, which are the plants with the closed seeds. Now first of all, we will begin with the algae. So first group included within the plant kingdom is algae. Now what are algae, or which organisms are included in algae? Algae are chlorophyll bearing, that is they have the chlorophyll. Simple, their body structure is very simple, not complex. Thalloid, which means their body is not differentiated into root, stem and leaves. So basically they have the simple multicellular body. Autotrophic, that is they are preparing their own food. Largely aquatic, that is they are found in fresh water as well as in the marine water. So algae are the chlorophyll bearing, that is having the chlorophyll, thalloid, autotrophic, aquatic organisms. Some of the algae, they also occur on variety of other habitats, like they may be found on moist stones, they may be found in moist soil as well as they may be found on moist wood. Some of them also occur in association with fungi, and that association of algae with fungi is called as lichens. And some of them may also occur on the other animals like sloth bear. So algae may also occur on the other animals like sloth bear. So that is regarding the some introduction regarding the algae. Now the size and form of algae. What are the various size and forms of algae? So they may be unicellular motile like Chlamydomonas, unicellular non-motile like Chlorella. They may occur in colonies like volvox. They may be filamentous. Now this filamentous form may be unbranched like Ulothrix and Spirogyra. It may be filamentous bud branch like Cladophora, and they may also have a massive plant body and they are marine. So example of them are kelps. So they may be unicellular motile, they may be unicellular non-motile, they may be colonial, they may be filamentous. Filamentous form may be either branched or they may be unbranched, and they may have a massive plant body, and basically massive plant body will be the marine form of the algae. Now how the reproduction occurs in algae? Now algae basically reproduces by three ways: vegetative, asexual and sexual. So there are three ways of reproduction in algae: vegetative reproduction, asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. First of all, the vegetative reproduction in the algae. Now how the algae reproduces vegetatively? So algae reproduces vegetatively by two ways. One is by binary fission and by the fragmentation. So what is binary fission? So here the cell is divided into two parts. Here nucleus is also divided into two parts by the mitosis. So basically cell division by the process of mitosis occurs, and this is only found in the unicellular algae. Next one is the fragmentation. So the filaments of the algae, they break into fragment, and each fragment will now develop a new thallus, will develop a new algae. So all the filamentous algae basically divide by fragmentation. So vegetative reproduction occurs by two ways. One is binary fission, where the cell division occurs by mitosis and it occurs only in the unicellular algae. Then is fragmentation, where the algal filaments, they break into fragment and each fragment will form a new thallus, a new algae. So basically all the filamentous form will reproduce by this method. So here you can see the process of the binary fission. So here there is a cell, this cell have divided, nucleus have divided, here the cell have divided, and after cell division new cells are formed. So parent cell, where the DNA replicates, duplicates, cytoplasm divides, and finally two daughter cells are formed. And then the next one is the fragmentation, which mainly occurs in the filamentous forms like Spirogyra. So this is one complete Spirogyra. Both it have been fragmented. Now each fragmented part will form a new algae. So that is regarding the vegetative reproduction in algae. Now the asexual reproduction. So how asexual reproduction occurs in algae? So basically it occurs by the production of different types of spores, and most commonly formed spore is a zoospores. Very important. So asexual reproduction occurs by the formation of the spores, and the most widely formed spores are the zoospores. Now these zoospores are flagellated spores, that is, as they have the flagella, they are motile, and these spores on germination will form the new plants or new algae. So asexual reproduction occurs by the formation of the spore. The most widely formed spore is the zoospores. These zoospores are motile spores as they have the flagella, and these spores on germination forms the new algae. Now zoospores basically are formed in the favorable conditions, but I told you most common spore is a zoospore, but in the unfavorable conditions or during the unfavorable conditions, aplanospores are produced, and these aplanospores are non-flagellated, non-motile spores. So asexual reproduction takes place by the formation of the spores, which on germination gives rise to the new plants. So basically here a connectivity is shown between the sexual reproduction and the asexual reproduction. So basically these are the zoospores which are formed. These zoospores on germination will form a new algal plant. Now the method of the sexual reproduction. So now how the sexual reproduction occurs in algae. So basically sexual reproduction occurs by the fusion of the two gametes. So during the sexual reproduction, fusion of the two gametes takes place. Now this fusion may be of three types: isogamous, anisogamous and oogamous. So what is sexual reproduction? So basically the involvement of the fusion of the gametes is the sexual reproduction. Now this fusion of the gametes is of three types: isogamous, anisogamous and oogamous. So first of all, isogamous. What is that condition? If the fusing gametes are morphologically similar, which means if the fusing gametes have the similar size, their morphology, their size, their shape, their form, if they are similar, then that fusion is called as isogamy. Now the fusing spores, they may be flagellated, example in Ulothrix, or they may also be non-flagellated as in Spirogyra. So gametes, fusing gametes, if they are similar in morphology, it is called as the isogamous condition. Now if the fusing gametes are flagellated, they may be flagellated like in Ulothrix, or they may be non-flagellated as in Spirogyra. Anisogamous, aniso, which means different. So if the fusing gametes are morphologically dissimilar, which means they do not have the similar size, they do not have the similar shape, they do not have the similar forms, that is called as anisogamous condition. Example is the Eudorina. And oogamous is the special form of the anisogamous. So basically in oogamous condition, always the fusion occurs between one large non-motile, that is static female gamete, and a smaller motile male gamete. So fusion between a non-motile large female gamete and a smaller motile male gamete, it is called as the oogamy, and it occurs in volvox and fucus. So sexual reproduction occurs by three ways: isogamous condition, anisogamous condition and the oogamous condition. So here you can see clearly isogamy, where the two gametes have the similar size, similar shape, etc. And isogamy, here you can see one gamete is smaller in size, one gamete is larger in size. So basically see, this is the female gamete which is larger in size and with the flagella, and this is a male gamete smaller in size but with the flagella. And this is oogamous, where the female gamete, that is egg, it is larger in size and without flagella, and the male gamete, that is sperm, which is smaller in size and is with the flagella. Same thing is shown here. Two gametes, if they are same in size and shape, isogamy and isogamy, two different gametes, their size, shape, forms are different. And oogamy, the male gamete is flagellated and smaller, and the female gamete is non-flagellated and larger. Now when we talk about the sexual reproduction in the algae, so basically when we talk about plant body of algae, they are haploid. So all algae, exception is there, but mainly the algae are haploid. So basically during sexual reproduction we know that the zygote will be formed by the fusion of male and female gamete. Now as in zygote there is a male, it is a product of fusion. As zygote is a product of the fusion of the male and female gamete, always the zygote will be diploid. But the plant body of the algae is haploid. So what happens in the zygote of the algae? The zygote of the algae undergoes meiosis. So it is zygotic meiosis, and such life cycle is called as haplontic life cycle, which we will study in detail at the last part of the chapter. Now I told you all the algae are haploid. There is an exception, that brown algae, they are diploid in nature. Now the first division in the zygote is meiosis, and it is not the mitosis, and therefore no embryo is formed in the algae. In the algae there is no formation of the embryo. The male sex organ of the algae is called antheridium, and the female sex organ of the algae is called as the oogonium. So this is a brief summary of the reproduction. Reproduction occurs by three ways: vegetative, asexual and sexual. Vegetative by fragmentation, which occurs in filamentous form, cell division or binary fission in the unicellular forms. Asexual reproduction occurs by the formation of the motile or non-motile spores. The most common spores are zoospores, which are flagellated, that is they are motile, and on germination they give rise to the new plants. And sexual reproduction occurs by the fusion of the gametes, which is of three ways: isogamy, fusing gametes are same; anisogamy, fusing gametes are different in morphology; oogamy, that is totally different. So basically male and female gametes will fuse. So that was regarding the reproduction in algae. Now we will see the economic importance of algae. How are algae important? So half of the total carbon dioxide fixation on earth is carried out by the algae through photosynthesis. So most of the fixation of the carbon dioxide is carried out by the algae. Now as they are photosynthetic, now we know that during the photosynthesis oxygen is released. So basically, being photosynthetic in nature, they increase the level of the dissolved oxygen in the immediate environment. So basically, wherever algae are found, they will increase the amount of the oxygen into the environment. Now we know that most of the algae are aquatic, that is they are found in fresh water or they may be found in marine water. So they are of the paramount importance, that is most important primary producers of energy rich compound which form the basis of food cycles of all the aquatic animals. So basically in the aquatic ecosystem, the algae are the most important producers. In the aquatic ecosystem, the algae are the most important producers and they produce the energy rich compounds. Now, 70 species of marine algae are used as food, and the most common marine algae used as foods are Porphyra, Laminaria and Sargassum. So these are the three widely used species of marine algae which are used as the food. Now certain marine brown and red algae, they produce large amount of hydrocolloid, that is they have the water holding substances. They are the water holding substances. So the most widely used brown algae is algine and the most widely used red algae is carrageen. So both these algae are commercially used to produce the hydrocolloids. These hydrocolloids are the water holding substances. Now agar, it is one of the product obtained from the algae Gelidium and Gracilaria, and this agar which is obtained from these two algae, they are used to grow microbes in the laboratory and they are used in the preparations of ice creams and jellies. So agar which is used to grow microbes and which is used to prepare ice creams and jellies, they are obtained from the algae called as Gelidium as well as the Gracilaria. Now unicellular algae like Chlorella and Spirulina, they are rich in proteins, and as they are rich in proteins, they are used as the food supplements by the space travelers. So algae like Chlorella and Spirulina which are rich in proteins are used as the food supplements by the space travelers. So these are the various economic importance of the algae. Here we come to the end of the part 1 of this chapter. Next part will be studied in the next video. Thank you students.